been meaning to do these reviews for the longest time. This is the final review that I have, and then I'm gonna start watching a new drama, and then eventually I'll review that. If you would like to see my live tweets about the drama that I'm watching, you can follow me on Twitter. On today's review for Best Lover, and see, now I can just go to my Netflix and read the synopsis. Cause Fairy Tale Under Starlight, I had to like search around the internet for that one, and my phone wouldn't load the Wikipedia page. The synopsis is two young stars with different backgrounds and agendas enter into a fake marriage to advance their careers until the fake starts turning. I think this was actually like recommended to me, and the synopsis alone seemed like very interesting, so I was like, yes. So it starts off like good. The only thing I don't get is like the main lead is Taiwanese, but then the main actress is Korean. However, the main lead's parents in the drama are also Korean, and then the main actress, her dad in the drama is Taiwanese, because the first time we see him, he's speaking Mandarin. However, I do appreciate that he's bilingual and speaks back to her in Korean. Just because here's the thing about the main actor, the main lead, he speaks to his parents in Mandarin, and then they respond back in Korean, and it's the same for the two main leads. Like, she'll speak to him in Korean, and then he'll respond back in Mandarin, and vice versa. It just, throughout the series, like, they could have had them actually learn some of the other language at one point. At least that's how I feel. It started off good, because then you have the like conflicting personalities, like in every other like fake marriage drama. You know, you have Full House Tie with Mike and and then you have My Destiny, which they really didn't have conflicting personalities until the second half, which was, you know, well done. If you haven't seen either of those, I highly suggest them. But with this, it started off that way, and so you expect them to be like constantly arguing and at each other's throats, especially since the first interaction they have with each other, she ruins a sweater that his mom made for him. And, you know, he's very upset about it, because she's just like, oh, here, throw some money at it, buy a new sweater, whatever. And he starts off very, like, humble and, like, kind and everything. And then that happens, and he's like, I'll never forgive you. And then he eventually reaches success, meets her again, and he's like, oh, by the way, the sweater that you ruined was made by my mother, so I couldn't have bought that back. And she feels bad about it, but she doesn't express that to him like we see it, but he doesn't know that. And, you know, in the beginning, he's like very quirky, and he even goes to audition for a part with her, and he sees her there, and he, you know, is really goofy when he's doing the audition and everything. And that's the only time we see that, because after that, that's just gone. All of the conflict between those two is gone. The tension, the passion between those two is gone throughout the series. And like, we see her developing feelings for him, but for him it kind of just seems like, I don't know, quite honestly. I didn't really feel like he was developing feelings for her, although it was clear by his not really his actions, but by what he was saying to her that he developed feelings for her, but we have no idea when that started. The whole reason they even had to get married in the first place was to protect her brother. The best way I could put this drama is that it feels like nothing happens on the guy's part. But we're watching it from the girl's perspective and watching her grow and develop feelings and become more human. The best relationship in this show is actually the bond built between his mom and the main lead. Like, they build this fantastic mother-daughter relationship, and they actually like relate to each other. Like, that felt like the strongest bond in this whole series. I just really feel like they could have done more with this. I mean, maybe it was the language barrier. They don't exactly have the feeling to go off of during that line. Like, they can express the feeling, but when they're hearing the next line back and that has feelings behind it, but they don't know what they're saying. Because I really feel like they didn't know what they were saying to each other, because neither of them spoke either language back at any point during the whole entire series. So maybe that's why I feel like the emotions were not fully there. And even in the last scene where he gets, I think he gets stabbed or shot, one of those two, and like they call the police come because the son is in danger. However, you don't see any ambulance. And so the guy got stabbed or shot or whatever, and his life is on the line. They're confessing to each other. I didn't feel anything, to be honest, especially on his part. I think it was just on his part, because I could feel the emotion coming from her part. But for him, it just felt like he was just saying the lines just to say them. It might have had something to do with the fact that a majority of the cast spoke Korean, and he was pretty much the only one who was speaking Mandarin. That might have something to do with it. I don't know. But he's over here like stabbed, bleeding out. He goes unconscious, and still no ambulance. And then we still have time for her dad to pop in, give this whole big speech, and for the cops to come in and take down the bad guy and like walk him out. And I'm just like, why did y'all not call an ambulance? Like, I don't. The only other relationship that actually felt like there was something building there was the bond between the main lead and her younger brother, because she starts off being like, don't expect me to take care of you and all this other stuff. And so she kind of like tosses her off on like her manager and is like, here, take care of him, make sure he's safe and whatever. And then as the series progresses, she gets more and more concerned for her younger brother. It helps to show that she's being humanized and becoming more emotive. After, I think, the death of her mother and her father having an affair or whatever, after that, she kind of like closed herself off and became independent. And so she became more like emotionless. Having her brother there and then having the main lead there, she becomes more human. And honestly, I'm gonna have to look up if she has any more dramas, because it seems like she would do good in like a different setting with a different main lead actor. Whereas with our MC, he poor performances. When I say I really didn't feel anything coming from him during any of the series, like they just didn't have any passion together. I know I say a lot that like characters don't have chemistry, But I think what I mean by that is that like they have a connection, but they don't have any like passion, or sometimes they don't have a connection, but they don't have any like passion. We're supposed to believe that they're falling madly in love with each other, but like they almost kiss, or I think we only got 2 kisses in this drama, maybe. But there was a scene where like they're looking up at the stars, and that would have been the perfect moment for them to have like an almost kiss moment, and they don't do that. Actually this happens twice. And they always like talk about the fact that they're always arguing and at each other's throats, but we don't get to see any of it. We just get to hear about it in passing. No, I feel like she learned stuff about him, but he never learned anything about her. I think that's all I have to say about this drama. Overall, I think I would give it a score of like 3, 4 out of 10. 3 or 4 out of 10. It's really not worth your time if you would like to see a better forced marriage romance. I would suggest you go watch Full House Thai, or Your Red Destiny, or even Fated to Love You, because they do it a lot better. Even though I like Your Red Destiny more than Fated to Love You, but if you're more of a K-drama fan, watch Fated to Love You. And if you don't have a preference, I would go with Your Red Destiny over Fated to Love You. And that's it. That's all I have to say.